might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to everyone. So, for Christmas, let's just go like this real quick. Red, green, red, green, red, green. And we'll leave it on green. But want to say Merry Christmas to everyone this year of 2024. Okay, I'm already moving to 2024. Of 2023, we are 1 week left in 2023. If you do not know who I am your host, Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. There we go, right there, right? So, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge my good friend Tech Takeover already in the chat. Always here bright and early, always supporting. Shout out to you, Tech Takeover. Peace and blessings to you as well. Merry Christmas to you as well. Up early. Me and you might be the only one up early on this Christmas morning, but we never stop working. We always put in the work. We like to work early so we can have fun later. All right. So, what is the plan for this morning? So, what I'm going to do is share a little bit of my plans for the week, because I do not have corporate responsibilities this week. Although I'll be monitoring, making sure there's no fires happening, right? See if there's anything I can help out with. But for the most part, I'm going to be editing a lot of video because there's some stuff I need to get rid of on the computer. I'm going to be working on some projects that I have in flight. Going to continue what I was working on yesterday, trying to deploy the Tech Barbarians app. And so that's so I'll be going live a little bit more this week so we can get some work done. Another stuff in other news, right? A project that I'm going to be taking on this week, probably today, right? I want to let me show. I've been eyeing this thing right here, right? Infinity Gauntlet for almost 6 months now. And I said, this is a perfect week to put it together, and I will live stream putting it together. I got the idea from my good friend China over at Cafe Corner, or China at Cafe Corner. And so I was talking to her about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, it shouldn't take you too long." I told her like, "Hey, I'm a total entry level into Lego, so bad that I said it wrong the first time." But she's like, "Oh no, it's not too bad," and there's a guide to follow, so I'm gonna try to do that, try to put that together. and live stream me, live stream you fumbling through it. But I'm going to figure that out, and I'm going to be testing out some new streaming software as well. So many things, and then picked up this little thing right here, this little microphone for the phone, because I'm going to try to see if I can use the phone as well to generate some additional content, maybe some shorts, something I want to document what I've been thinking about it the past week, right? Like right before I got sick. So there is the Pan American Jiu-Jitsu tournament coming up in towards the end of March, right? I was thinking about documenting the journey, right? But to do that, I'm going to need my phone, and to do that, I'm going to need a decent mic on the phone. It all tumbles downhill, right? So, going to be trying out this little app, and then the last thing I'm going to be working on this week, probably today after the show, I picked up. They even wrapped it for me. Look at that. Keep that open. So when I told Joseph, the only thing that was being, or when I say Joseph, when I told Joseph from Tech Niche Tips, the only money that's going to be spent is on studio equipment, I was not joking. I picked up this stream controller right here. It is by Razer. It's the exact same thing of the Loop Deck Live, but Razer made it. It's Razer branded, has a better price. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to set that up, see if I can replace this big old iPad that I've been using to control stuff. So a lot of things happening this week. So bear with me as I make these adjustments, might work on some additional camera angles in the office/studio. So we'll see, right? We're going to get to work. So, like I say, just because you are off from your day job doesn't mean that you stop working. It actually gives you more freedom to push harder, to advance your agenda way more. So just wanted to share that with everyone. And that's the plan, all right? But this is the Koffee and Kata morning show. We have a little bit more time today because I don't have to rush off and get to coding and stuff like that. So what we're gonna do, I am going to put, because I have quite a few articles, right? I'm gonna put 10 minutes up on the clock, right? And then we're going to review these articles, and then we will. I don't know. Do I want to do coding today on Christmas morning? Let's have a lot. You know what? We're gonna keep it short this morning, right? I'm gonna put 15 minutes up for the news articles, and then we are going to wrap that up this morning. I am not going to jump in the coding this morning because we're gonna be back later anyways, probably to work on the Infinity Gauntlet, and we'll take that as our challenge. So maybe around maybe like 2 or 3 Eastern time, probably come back and work on the Infinity Gauntlet, maybe for an hour and a half, see how far we can get. And then we'll go from there, right? So that is the plan, right? So let me put our 15 minutes up on the clock. I am just not ready to jump into the Chaos Camp Challenge this morning. But do want to say thank you to Chaos Camp for providing us so much content, so much challenges this year because and I'll say this, right? Tech Takeover, I think working on some of those Chaos Camp challenges are going to really stimulate your mind onto like how to. I know we were talking about yesterday about like some of the challenges that you had with some of the coding things, but I think like those challenges, like another site that I'm going to get into this coming 2024 is Code Wars for additional coding challenges as well. So doing those type of coding challenges, I think those will help you process through some of these challenges that you believe that you faced a little bit more, right? And trust me, you have reinforcements, you have support. I know that my good friend Don is more than willing to work with us and stuff like that, right? So yeah, so just wanted to throw that out there. But with that being said, let's throw our 15 minutes up on the clock. All right, so let's get to our news stories. All right, so let's zoom in a bit. So the first story is retailers deploy AI to cut returns. What is this talking about, right? So it's says retailers are using AI to save money on costly returns by giving shoppers better product descriptions and recommendations. Fashion brands including Perry Ellis and H&M are also using the technology to target ads to consumers more precisely, hoping this will reduce the odds that they'll send purchases back. A survey of Americans in June and July found that 17% of them have returned at least 6 items over the past 6 months. That's more than double the rate from the previous year, according to Narvar, a logistics software company. Some retailers have started to charge return fees. Others have shortened return windows, while some companies give discounts to people if they agree to keep their purchases. Huh, interesting. So, I mean, companies, I think it's an interesting strategy to be more specific in your descriptions and your recommendations. But one of the problems is like, some people buy the wrong size and some people they just end up like regretting making purchases as well. So then they go and they return things, and the companies have made it so easy to return things. One thing I know, like with Best Buy, for example, their return window is like 14 days. So they're like, you better make up your mind quick if you're going to return it or not. But I think that if retailers, let's say some retailers are going to charge return fees and then others are not, then people are naturally going to gravitate to the place of least resistance. And so if a company is selling the same product for the same price, for without return fees, then or with longer return windows, because I know like sometimes I'll choose to purchase from like Amazon or Walmart instead of Best Buy, even though Best Buy might be like available right away, because I know that it's a lot easier to return things at one place over the other. So just different things to consider with stories like this. All right, so that is that one. Let's read this real quick, right? AI for ad targeting. This is amazing. I love how marketers are exploring various ways to use AI for more precise ad targeting. By using data and machine learning algorithms, they predict likelihood of certain customer groups returning their purchases. This information is then integrated into Google ad buying algorithm. The goal is to avoid targeting audiences more likely to return products. Ads savings on ad spend plus savings on returns. Great stuff. I agree with the sentiment. The only thing I can see this is becoming into, oh, you're targeting certain communities and demographics, and you're discriminating against other ones and stuff like that. So I can already see the future of this, But we shall see. We shall see. All right, let's move on to the next one. Has the Fed finally beat inflation? Huh. That is a good question. So, has the Fed finally beat inflation? A key price gauge fell in November for the first time since 2020, signaling that the Federal Reserve's fight against inflation may be coming to an end. The overall personal consumption expenditures index, the central bank's preferred gauge, declined 0.1%. Yes, 0.1% on a monthly basis. The Commerce Department reported Friday. The report also showed personal spending increased 0.3% in November after a revised 0.1% in October. Well, I'm pretty sure that 0.3% can always be revised as well, but let's keep going. Taken together, the results are another indication the US economy can avoid a recession while bringing prices under control, per the Wall Street Journal. I always find it interesting, like, we I always find it interesting, right? So we are less than a year away from another election. And for all these years, inflation is climbing, climbing, climbing. Prices are soaring. Wages aren't going that much more. The housing prices are soaring, and all this stuff, right? But with less than within 12 months to go, all of a sudden, then it's like, well, things might be looking better because the 0.3% increase in spending in November and the 0.1% decline of what in the world even declined? It was the personal consumption expenditures, right? So now that means that we're in a much better place, right? 0.3% and 0.1%, we are in such a much better place, right? So it says, taken together, the results are another, right?
Another one.
Yep. It's another indication of the US economy can avoid a recession while bringing prices under control. On an annual basis, the overall index rose 2.6% compared to with 2.8% in October, approaching the Fed's 2% target. The core index, which excludes volatile foods and fuel prices, slowed more than expected to an annual rate of 3.2% from 3.5% in the prior month. The University of Michigan also reported Friday that consumer sentiment index jumped the most in December since 2005, as inflation expectations held at the lowest level since March 2021. Great. So what I think the main question, because this is, like, for me at least, is a bunch of economical numbers and stuff like that, but I just want to know, is are prices going down on our common everyday goods, right? What I want to know. And I want to know, is my homeowner's insurance in Florida and my property taxes in Florida going down as well? If it's not, then I quite frankly don't care. All right, cool. So let's keep moving forward. Which one do I want to take on next? I want to take this one on next. So it says slow charger growth. Slow charger growth hurts EV switch, electrical vehicle switch. All right. So it says the Biden administration wants electric vehicles to account for half, yes, half of new car sales by 2030. But that goal could be delayed by slow installation of charging stations, according to the New York Times. Ohio and New York are the only states to open federally funded charging stations 2 years after lawmakers allocated $5 billion to build a fast charging network. The EV sales topped 1 million this year in America for the first time, but potential buyers cite range anxiety. The fear that the car will run out of charge before reaching a station as a major barrier to purchasing. Some state officials blame the slow rollout on federal requirements and a lack of experience building chargers. So, number one, you can get a jump start thingy right in your car, so that if you're out of battery, you just plug it up, charge it, so you can get to the next EV station. I don't know, or not. The other thing with this is there is this guy that you guys absolutely hate, who has been producing EVs for a very, very long time. And everywhere I look, I see his charging stations all over the place, right? Um, and in Florida, all up and down the turnpike, there are Tesla charging stations. Um, and at the malls and all this stuff, right? So there might be like 10 Tesla charging stations, while there might be like two other um, bootleg EV chargers, right? So what you can do is stop being so confrontational with that certain individual, right? And pay him to use his chargers, and that way you get to tap into the network, and then maybe you can get by 2030 half of the cars to be EV. But I also am curious, right? Because so I have nothing against EVs and stuff like that, but the thing that I wonder is the people who are pushing for this right? I'm curious what their stock portfolio looks like, right? What are they invested in, and what is it that they stand to gain by getting to half of new cars to be EVs by 2030? Because they're probably, to me, I'm going to be guessing that they're invested in the different different brands. They're invested in the equipment that it takes to make these the batteries, the all that stuff, that all the components. They're heavily invested in that, and they are also trying to get their monies up. All right, so um, that's that maybe that's a little cynical, but whatever. Let's jump on to the next one. So Gen Z is losing interest in college. So it says college isn't for everyone. That's a fact, especially if you're a member of Generation Z. Just 39% of Gen Zers say pursuing higher education is a priority, according to a BIUGov survey. With student loan debt burdening millions of Americans and a growing number of jobs that don't require college degrees, Zoomers, oh, they got a new name. Zoomers are much more critical about the necessity of going to college, says Anna Hernandez Kent of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Experts say universities will have to adjust the cost of their programs and the programs themselves if they want to maintain enrollment. The number of undergraduates enrolling to college as of May was down 1.16 million compared to spring of 2020, per the National Student Clearinghouse. So, I agree that I agree with this article for the most part. I think that college has been used as a for the most part, for many people, like I'd say a good 95 to probably plus percent of people, it's been used as a scam to get them into high amounts of debt. When the government got involved in pretty much all sorts of education, but especially college, um, the same way as when they got involved in healthcare, they found a way to run the numbers up, and the colleges were able to charge an extraordinary amount of money, because they were getting because one, they're preying on unknowing parents who, like, especially parents who just like, oh, they just want their kids to go to college. They have no idea what they're going to do there. But now they go sign their lives away to debt for this, for the student and for the parent, right? And then we go and we waste on some useless degree, right? And people can say, oh, there's no such thing as a useless degree. Trust me, there is, right? And then the students can't really do anything with the education that they have. So now they want to go, and instead of having gone to college for a some probably like some type of STEM degree, maybe in science or something, or technology, then they want to try to cram all of that that they would have learned for a 4-year degree into like 3 to 6 months, which it just puts you in a bad position. And you try to compete with those college students for the internships that are designed for them. So those are the things that ended up in a more challenging position. So I would say that we definitely need to reevaluate how how we do college, and for the most part, like probably get the government out of the whole college and probably the entire education process as well. But that is neither here nor there. I want to see what this comment says, right? At one point in my life, I too believed that college was not for me. However, I have since earned a doctorate. Well, congratulations to you, buddy. While the gap year period may become more prevalent as high school graduates attempt to figure out their careers, the demographic of the average college student may shift. Nevertheless, those who wish to achieve success will always need a college degree. What the? Let me read that again. Those who wish to achieve success will always need a college degree. Um, I mean, that's debatable, but it's not totally off. But that's debatable. Um, I do think it depends on what you do, right? I don't. Um, this is like this is debatable. But not totally off. Um, but the problem that I have, right, is here. As high school graduates attempt to figure out their careers, Um, I think that's the biggest mistake that we make is that we expect these 17, 18, 19-year olds to figure out their careers, and that's how they end up in massive amounts of debt, totally lost, totally frustrated, and feeling that they don't need college. I think college can be very, very useful, but it has to be targeted. Everything needs to be very, very well planned out. We don't I like I believe one of the mistakes that um our parents let us down, as well as that at our age now that we lead down our kids, is that we we want them to be free, and we want them to be able to figure it out at 17, 18, or 19 or whatever, and because a lot of them can't even figure it out at 26 like we're going to see in a second, right? So what I would say is, like, guide them through it. Like, don't have them just figure out their careers. Say, all right, these are your options, right? And guess what? Whatever they go into and they do it and they make a bunch of money from it. If after they make a bunch of money, they decide that, oh, this wasn't for me. Now that you have a bunch of money, go ahead and shift to something else. But don't don't waste your time and your money when you're young. Um, and then now you're like,
I'm in a bind, Nate.
nope, don't want that, right? So yeah, think about that. But at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want. So let's move on to our very next article. Parents keep paying for their adult children. More and more parents are dipping into their nest egg to support their adult children, and it could risk their retirement. Bloomberg reports roughly half of America's young adults live with their parents, according to Harris poll. A trend my goodness, these exacerbated exacerbated by the pandemic, inflation, and an unlikely entry level job market. Parents now spend roughly 500 billion annually on things like rent, bills, and allowances for their grown up kid. What the hell is an allowance for a grown up kid? Or double what they're saving for retirement. Yet, according to one financial advisor, investing in adult children now in return for their help later on can be an alternative if risky retirement plans. Taking care of your 30-year-old child is not an investment. I'm sorry, that is not an investment. All right. Grandparents are also, so not only the parents, but the grandparents are also shelling out financial help. Around 94% offer their grandchildren at least some monetary support. Well, Merry freaking Christmas, right? Yippee ki yay! Um, this is crazy to me. Like, and to me, this is what happens when we did not properly steer them in their teenage years, and now, you know, the what was the roosters come home to roost or whatever it says, um, and now we're stuck like with these 30, 40-year-old kids at home, and now we call it an investment in taking care of your adult damn kids. Um, no. All right. Um, yeah. Okay. So before let's read this real quick. One day your child will grow up and leave you, or will they? That is a great question, Paulina. Great question. Will they ever leave? Right? Parents of adult children know the high cost times make it tough for kids to live independently, but long running stretches of funneling money to adult children is requiring greater debt loads, depleted savings, and delayed retirement plans. It's also stretching their patience as parents struggle to figure out when they're helping a child transition into adulthood. Yeah, around 40 to 50 years old, or just delaying it. Suzanne Woolley and I talked to experts and parents who are navigating a new era in which nearly half of young adults are living at home while millions more are receiving financial support for everything from bills to rent. And I don't think it's wrong for like for adults, like young adults, like I don't see that. Oh, you have to go and get your own place and stuff like that. But I don't. I also don't believe that the parent has to be taking care of every aspect of their lives. I think that if you, to me, if you lead your child in the right way, then now once they get to a certain age, you become like you have to transition away from being the parent and into being like business partners, business associates, making smart decisions, moving in particular directions that now it will be beneficial and lucrative to everyone. All right. So that's how I see that. Let me see what my good friend Operation Tech Takeover says. He says, unless you're going to for a C-suite position or lawyer or doctor, you can still be successful without a college degree. You can. I think it does. It depends a lot on the field that you are in, right? Because we'll use the tech industry for instance, right? While it's like you can definitely be successful without it, it just depending on how soon you get into the industry, right? Um, when you look at the applications, right? They're still or not the job descriptions. They're still asking for computer science degrees or something similar because they say this type of degree, a bachelor's, some of them masters, you know, or um, or equivalent experience. The problem is a lot of people don't have the experience, they don't have the education. So while like the boot camps and stuff like that are being highly promoted, which I think a lot of people who do come from boot camp, they have the skills, but they just don't have like the experience to back it up. And from what I've seen is that companies are more willing to take interns who are in college, right? Instead of like interns from boot camps. It's just what I've in my observation, right? So I think the college degree makes it easier. And if you are if you're young, because like some people like they get to a certain stage that it's so much harder for them to go to college because of life circumstances and the time. But if you are let's put it like this, right? The A lot of people where they they qualify to go to college, get like pretty much get everything paid for from financial aid and stuff like that, right? but then they go to study something that they want, something that they enjoy, and stuff like that. And then those things don't actually pay, right? So now, they have a free. It could be like political science, it could be journalism, it could be different things that it's like those things are very targeted, and they might not pay well, but then now after you can't really find a job, now you want to it's like, okay, you didn't really need to go to college for that because you kind of went to college for a hobby, right? But but then they wanted to like, okay, well, let me try to go into this tech thing, which tech is hard. Like, I don't know what makes people think that tech is like quote unquote easy, because how is it that you can go to college for like some, English or something, right? Um, but then like you think it's going to be so much easier to do like tech, you know? Some people do it, but I think to me it's always about strategy, putting yourself in the best position to win. Like you said, like you can definitely do it without college and be successful, but I think you just stack the chips a lot more against you when you like, it's to me it's all about strategy. So that's how I see it. Like, do you need it? No. Can you make it if you prepare well when you are a lot younger, and if your parents help you prepare well instead of planning to take care of you when you're 40, then you definitely have a better chance of crushing it in the long run. But a lot of things happen where like our parents didn't know any better or themselves. So, it's tricky. It's definitely tricky, but I agree with you. It's just I like to like I would recommend like if someone is like um 10 years old, like already start getting them prepared so that they don't have to struggle the way that we had to struggle to find the things that we needed to find. We should know better at this point. So, and that's why we have articles like this talking about parents and grandparents have to take care of their 30-year-old kids. So, I mean, they can stay on the insurance until 26 now, right? So, and they're probably still trying to argue to get that to go higher too. So, I don't know. I don't know, but you're right though. You're right. All right. So, we have two more articles to go until we wrap it up. So, the next one here is Wayfair CEO to staff: work harder, work more. Time to work harder and blend your job into your personal life. That's the end of year message Wayfair CEO and co founder Niraj Shah shared with the online furniture giant's roughly 15,000 employees after the company returned to profitability. Working long hours, being responsive, blending work and life is not anything to shy away from. There is not a lot of history of laziness being rewarded with success, he said. In a note shared with Business Insider, Merry Christmas from Niraj Shah. Shah also encouraged staff to think of the company's funds spent as their own. All right. So, um, economics professor Nicholas Bloom tells CNN if Wayfair wants to run a business where people work 80 hours a week, he's going to have to put their salaries by 50% to pay them for it. 80 hours a week. Well, that is very interesting. So I'm just curious to see what some of these have to say, right? Some of these people have to say. I haven't bought much from Wayfair, but not buying anything from Wayfair is fairly easy for me. So not buying is fairly easy. Burnout doesn't help anyone, and since companies won't be around to care for employees when they're in their 70s and feeling the health effects from working themselves overly harshly when they were in their 20s to 50s, success necessarily needs to include taking care of future you so that you'll be able to live and enjoy your life after you're done working, and companies will make no further use of you. It's right for the most part, but you might not be able to make it there as well if you're broke. homeless, unemployed. But there's got to be some type of balance between it, right? There's like the messaging here. I don't work for Wayfair. I didn't hear it myself, but it's kind of strange, especially for Christmas. Merry Christmas from Wayfair. Let's read this one, right? So I think Shah's year-end message emphasizes the importance of hard work, dedication, and success of the company, as well as the fact that employees view the company's interests as their own. That's not what I read, but this attitude can, in some cases, motivate employees to pursue higher work standards and goals, but it also needs to be approached with caution to ensure employee wellness and work life balance. Well, he said there is no work life balance. He said it's just work, 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 right? Um, yeah, I would never tell an employee of mine that, right? I believe in work, work, work for myself, but then again, I don't employ people, so it is what it is. In the modern workplace, more and more emphasis is being placed on work-life balance and the importance of personal happiness and well-being. It is therefore a matter of personal decision making and values of each employee to weigh up work-life balance and how to approach the relationship between laziness and success. Company leaders should encourage their employees to pursue their goals while also focusing on their overall well-being and quality of life. Um, so here's a question to this, right? Because I understand the sentiment. What if then the directive that is applied to the to Mr. From Mr. Shah is that I want our hiring practices to be people who don't value work life balance, who are going to put their work first and their life second, you know? Um, because then that's going to take on a whole other mindset, right? Because it's it, it's a tough balancing act, right? Because what if a company is like, well, we don't mind turnover. We want people who maybe that somebody will come in and work for 3 years really, really hard, and then they're like, oh, I can't, I'm getting burned out. I can't take it. I'm out. And then they have a cycle. I don't think that's necessarily healthy, but at the end of the day, does a company have the right to run it the way that they want to run it, whether it runs them into the drain or not? I don't know, right? I don't know. So let me see what Tech Takeover says. Like, you're right. It's very tricky. In my case, trying to transition careers in my early 40s is no joke. It, I'm determined to make it happen though. Definitely. Like, trust me. I like, I definitely, know what you mean. And it's hard because like I see people who, not even in their 40s, like in their 30s, who are trying to transition. And I think part of the problem is that the right expectations weren't set, not from them, because like if you're transitioning, you don't really know, right? But the like a lot of times I see like the people who give the information like, oh, you can definitely transition, and in 6 months this is gonna happen. And then it's like when it doesn't happen, and the criteria that they place upon you to get it to happen, I think that it can be very, very discouraging. But I also think that there's a lot of strategy at play, as well, and how to structure your resume, how to interview, how to ask the right questions. Something that I'm working on with one of my one of the people that I work with, like on this content stuff, is what are like what are some of the strategies to transition, because it's hard. Like, I've seen people who went to a boot camp and they applied for six, seven, 800 jobs and not one response, right? And with that happening, it's the question becomes, how many jobs do you apply to without response before you say, all right, let me stop and see if there's something wrong with my approach, right? So something that I'm thinking about, trying to figure out how we're going to do on transitioning, So let's get into our very last. Oh, let me read this one real quick, right? So this one says, "It never surprises me that so many leaders are ill-equipped or lack emotional intelligence that are required to be effective and good stewards for their customers and, more importantly, their employees. Finding work-life balance is important to any organization. What the Wayfair CEO is asking is completely insane. Asking your employees to work harder and mesh your work and life together just screams of cultural issues at Wayfair. Merry Christmas." I have worked for many companies, some of which had toxic cultures. I love the word toxic. Last two companies I worked for, and some of that some of that have cultures that foster and invest in their people. My current organization at NeuroPace, a shameless plug, is a great example of a company doing things right. The greatest asset to a company isn't the building or the technology. It isn't the customer or investors. Hands down, it's the people, the human capital that, just like other capital expenses, require maintenance, investment, and specific to people, mentorship by a leader who have passion, empathy, and skills to bring out the best in us all. The lesson to learn here is simple. Don't do what Elon. Oh, shut the. All right. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Like, whenever I see people just taking shots, and like they're and like, who the hell are you, right? But whatever. Don't do what Elon Musk is doing. Don't do what Niraj Shah is doing. Learn from the news making mistakes of those that go before you. Build on their failures and listen to your employees. If you have people quietly quitting their jobs, don't look at them as the problem. Look at yourself, your contribution or lack thereof, and ensure that further quitting or lackluster performance is addressed. I'm happy I read this one, right? I don't know. I am. I wish I knew somebody who worked at Tesla, because I really want to know, are the work conditions as bad as people say? Because I've heard that when Musk took over Twitter, now X, right? That people were like unhappy with like his work requirements and stuff like that. But Jack Dorsey said himself that the conditions at like that Twitter was failing, right? So I don't know. Whatever. I know. Anyway, this whatever. Let's keep going. So last one for our Christmas morning, because I don't want to get upset on Christmas morning, right? It's gonna be a beautiful day, and I'm going to start working on this Infinity Gauntlet, and we are going to do amazing things. So I'm not going to get let Mr. William Teeple annoy the hell out of me this morning, right? So let's move on. So the last article. Chick-fil-A on Sunday? New York is attempting to force some Chick-fil-A locations to do something they've never done before. Stay open on Sundays. I swear to. See, like, reading that previous article and then reading this one, I just I don't get it. Like, I did not read this article before. I saw the name Chick-fil-A on Sunday. Let me click it. This is gonna be a good one to review. And the first thing that I read is they're trying to force a private business, not even a publicly owned business, right? A private business, right? To open on Sundays, violate whatever it is their beliefs are, right? All right. Assemblyman Tony Simone has sponsored a bill he says is intended to provide travelers with more food Sunday with more Sunday food options at rest stops and other transportation hubs, but to not to push the fried chicken chain out of the state, which is like, oh my god, I always come back to Atlas Shrugged, right? Anyways, let's keep going. Chick-fil-A has been closed on Sundays since being found in 19 I didn't know it was in 1967 that it was found by the late S. Truett Cathy, whose conservative Christian values heavily influenced the way he conducted business. The bill wouldn't apply to locations currently operating, but instead would affect all future contracts for the food concession at transportation facilities owned by the state and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. So here's a question. Here's a question, right? Would you sacrifice, because we know Chick-fil-A is willing to sacrifice it, right? But would you sacrifice not having a food choice 7 days out of the week or 1 day out of the week? Like, it's total BS that they're talking about, oh, it's not to force them out of the state, but it's like provide more food options on Sundays, just 1 day out of the week at rest stops and other transportation hubs, right? I'm sure there's others, right? Like when I'm driving up and down the turnpike out here in South Florida, there's Wendy's, there's the Nathan's hot dog, there's that pizza place in there. Some of them, like there's Burger King in there and stuff like that, right? But they want to make a bill to target Chick-fil-A to force them to be open on Sundays, which, knowing Chick-fil-A, that they'll be like, all right, cool, we just won't do business here, right? Crazy. Let's read this real quick. A New York lawmaker has introduced a bill that would require Chick-fil-A restaurants to operate inside New York travel plazas to open on Sundays, something that mall landlords have given up long time ago, despite strict operating covenants for all other tenants. What do you think? I think that private businesses have the right to do, or businesses in general have the right to do whatever they want. If the mall landlords have a problem with it, then don't let Chick-fil-A sell in your mall, and whatever. Like, and if Chick-fil-A has a problem with it, and then don't do business there. Like, no one's forced to be able to do business in any particular place, right? I just noise. Assuming ownership is similar to Hobby Lobby, SCOTUS position is clear. Businesses have the right to choose their operating hours. Great point on the malls. Yeah, I like, and here's the thing: they have the right to choose their operating hours, and just like people have the right not to shop at any particular place that they don't agree with, whatever. Like this trying to make laws to force companies to do to open on a particular day. It's just, don't you guys have anything better to do? Like that's I don't know, whatever. All right, we are going to wrap it up, but there is no better comment to wrap it up than this one, right? Operation Tech Takeover says they better stop messing with the Lord's chicken. On that note, I have to say I agree completely with Operation Tech Takeover, and we are going to head out. I should be back a little bit later today to work on this Infinity Gauntlet. We do have a special episode of Canon Conversations coming out at noon today Eastern Time, so definitely check that out. It's just about saying okay sometimes, so check that out. Great show this morning. I appreciate you all. We're going to be going live tomorrow night for our scheduled Q&A, but I'll probably be back live later today to work on this Infinity Gauntlet and hang out with you guys a little bit more on this beautiful Christmas day. But on that note, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Operation Tech Takeover, for all your constant support. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And on that note, last time, Merry Christmas, everybody.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.